Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Elisabeth Goodridge. I'm so excited to be speaking to you all and being part of this amazing conference. So thank you, Rosenthal. Thank you, Mallory. It's been a pretty powerful group of people, and I am pretty psyched to be part of it. So thank you so much. So I have been really lucky in my career. I've been at the Times for nearly 9 years. And as we all know, it's an extraordinary time to be in the newsroom. And also, it's a pretty extraordinary time to be in email. So I'm going to take this time right now to talk about what a legacy news organization is doing with its email. In fact, we're going to talk about how we are upgrading our current portfolio as well as launching our new newsletters with a lot of editorial strategy before. So as I said, I've been at the Times for 9 years. I've been in digital all that time. I've been an editor in Washington. I did international stuff. My most recent job was working as a deputy in the Metro desk. And in 2016, they offered me an opportunity to change to email. And I said, you know, sure, I wanted to change. I wanted to challenge. And also, I like email. I love email. But I should say that I never really, growing up, was thinking, man, I will really make it if I become the email editor at the New York Times. But you know what? As I said, I like email. I love email. And sometimes when I see things like this kind of, like, I got to take offense. Story was from TechCrunch, and he's saying that email is like sidewalks. It's like forks. You don't really think about it, so you can't even like or dislike it. And I took offense to that because I love email. I like email, and so do our readers. And so, especially back in 2016 when I started and I did a deep dive into our research and I commissioned a lot, there's a lot of reasons why people like email. Okay, so plugs into their routine. They can look whenever they want, especially on their mobile phone. You don't have to learn a new app. The feeling of clicking delete is pretty powerful after you've read an email, and then you get Times journalism. So here's a couple of examples of what types of newsletters we have. Again, there was no one in this job before I started in terms of editorial presence in our newsroom products. So we've done a lot of work looking at what kind of emails we're sending out. So you get breaking news alerts. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of those. You've gotten our guides. Here are two examples of how readers can benefit from two different types of newsletters. So you've got the interpreter, which we call a standalone product. So it's your smart college friend writing you an email. Again, once you're done, you can click and delete. Okay, then you've got kind of a link list is what we call a convenient list of stories in one place that you can go to our site. So there's lots of benefits for readers, but there's lots of benefits for us as well. Is that going to work? Yeah, okay. So, all right, again, that panel this morning was like kick-ass, so smart, but we don't have to teach anyone how to use email like you do with any sort of like AR or VR, okay? Again, so not sexy email, sexy, but maybe not as sexy as those apps. But we don't have to teach people how to use it. Email is a personal medium which is beneficial to both our journalists who can see who's reading and getting feedback almost immediately and build up a rapport perhaps. And it's just, again, you are getting the New York Times in your inbox. Like, you are getting Andrew Russ working in your inbox, Sam Sifton from Cooking in your inbox. We can guide, inform, entertain, because email is so easy to experiment and refine using data and knowing what our audience is like. Newsletters for us draw more traffic to nytimes.com than our main Twitter account. And we're doing lots and lots of deep studies to see how much newsletter readers are loyal readers, and boy, are they. All right, so this is exhaustive. Look at these. So I started in 2016. There were about 40 newsletters, editorial newsletters. Now there's more than 55. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a lot for one person. Tons of editors are focusing on email right now at the New York Times. But all of these newsletters we break down into frequency, into audience, into subject matter, into format. We are going through a good strategy of figuring out which ones should be refined, which ones should be upgraded, which ones should be sunsetted, which ones can we do better, can we approach differently. So we got a lot. I'll leave this up. No, I'm just kidding. But sign up for them all. Trust me, it's worth it. Okay, so it's not just me. I think someone else had mentioned that you cannot just be the editor and hand off your copy anymore. We are investing in editorial product design, technology, and audience because, yes, it's not a very sexy product, but it works for us, it works for our readers, so we think it's a win-win. And I'm getting a new ESP, email service provider. We build it internally. I have more staff coming on every single section here at the Times, and I'm very, very lucky. This is so key, though, for any journalism product. I believe that you have to have closer alignment, but with newsletters especially, you have to know how the product is doing by looking at your audience. You can't, again, I can't stress this enough, just be an editor and write something and send it to somebody else. You have to know how the product is doing, how you can refine it, not just your text, but your product, your audience, your deliverability. Never knew what that word was. It's awesome. So. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about what we have seen to be a good ingredient for an excellent standalone newsletter. Sarah had touched a little bit about this, but you got to understand your audience. Who are you writing for? You have to have an expert writer who people want to hear from. We are so lucky at the New York Times that we have a deep bench of experts on all different subject matters, and we rely on them to write newsletters like this in a conversational, clear tone. Again, it's a personal medium. You don't write the same way you write social or you write that first day lead, that second day lead, that analytical take. It is a journalism format that speaks and should sound different from everything else, other different platforms. Again, there's a lot of email out there, a crap load of email newsletters. So you have to provide invaluable information so that people open it up and read it and find value. We're a subscription-based company. We use email a lot as a daily habituation. So people can see, oh my gosh, I got to get my morning briefing. It's 6:15. I haven't read my morning briefing. Much like our newspaper being dropped off by that Billy kid down the corner. Like, people get accustomed to reading their email, and we want them to have the New York Times as a daily essential part of their lives, and we see newsletters to do that. So getting back to maintaining best practices, you got to send it out the right time, do some A/B testing, and also it's got to look good. It's got to look really pretty. And again, this gets back to you can't just write your text and hope it does well. You've got to really invest in those photos, in that font, in that deliverability. Okay, so now I'm going to just break down a couple of different, or look at a specific couple of emails that we have, because otherwise I could talk about email for 8, 10, 12 hours. I can also go through every 55, and I don't think anyone wants that. So I'm going to focus on a couple of really sexy ones we've done. Okay, so last summer, Game of Thrones. We knew that we had an audience that really liked Game of Thrones because we would look at Chartbeat after our recaps would get published last year and say, wow, traffic was going through the roof. So we thought we might have a chance to have a pop-up newsletter with this. So we went through our ingredients and made sure we had everything. Fanatical fans, check. Expert staff, we had 3. Content, so we decided to hold some exclusive stuff for this newsletter. So we had interviews with the actors, we added some fun gifts and stuff, but we also strategically sent it out on Tuesday. So we're thinking, okay, people are obsessed with Game of Thrones. They watch the show on Sunday, they probably read a little bit too, and Monday they get their recaps. So we'll send this out at Tuesday to give that little fix. And also, we tried to give them a little reader benefit, too, by saying, we've gone through everything on the internet, and there's lots of things on the internet about Game of Thrones, and we're going to provide you not only exclusive content, but we're going to curate the best of the web. So more than 80,000 people subscribed to this newsletter. Again, we only sent it 8 times. Every single newsletter had an open rate, which is a key metric for email. Every single email had above 130% open rate. Yes, that's not unique. That means people have opened it again or perhaps forwarded it. The highest we had was a 250%, but our average unique for this send was 60%, which everybody who's in email says, oh, that's not a bad open rate. Okay, so Dealbook. We're really proud. I'm so proud of Game of Thrones, but there's lots more coming. Okay, so Dealbook. So Dealbook had been around for a while. Again, the New York Times has been around for a while. We have a lot of emails that have been more than 10 years old. Andrew Ross Sorkin made his name with this newsletter. He is one of our more prestigious business reporters. He's probably one of the more prestigious business reporters in this country. So he got his career by writing an M&A newsletter about 10 years ago. And we decided last year that it really was worth doing a relaunch because we wanted to do more than just M&A. We wanted to look at stories that were at the intersection of business and politics. So what were the kind of things that we needed to do? Well, we needed to staff it up. We knew our audience. We knew decision makers, Washington, New York, Silicon Valley, and pretty much anywhere we wanted to get those decision makers. And what Andrew has, he's an expert, and he has that sourcing. So again, we're providing that invaluable information from an expert in a conversational tone. Then we also made a change to the design to make it much more friendly, get Andrew's face on there, and just to demonstrate we are investing in this product. We are investing because we know you as an audience really value this. And a couple of things, you can see that there's this little blue highlight right there. We were listening to readers. They actually hated that blue highlight, so we actually changed the design. Again, refinement, best practices, listening to your audience to make it a better product. Okay, and so this is where I'm going to end. We have something coming up very soon this summer. We're relaunching what was called the Edit. Again, it was just a list of stories that we thought perhaps young people would want to read from the New York Times. There wasn't that much strategy behind it. So we thought, okay, we want this audience. We want a young audience. We want to understand how they could think that the New York Times could be valuable to them. So we thought, you know what? This is kind of like the me generation. Let's get them involved. Let's ask a couple of people to write in and say, do you want to be part of our team? We thought we'd get a couple hundred submissions for this relaunch of the Edit, in that we would get like 5 or 6 people really saying, not only are we covering this generation and offering this product to this generation, but you are part of our product to this generation. We got more than 20,000 applicants to this initiative, and we are thrilled. And my friend Lindsay Underwood has since we launched this, just been going through and reading and reading and reading and reading. So stay tuned for this newsletter. Sign up for the Edit and any other one. It's worth your while, and thank you so much for your time.